So how to develop metaphorical hula hoops to have people jump through so that you're able to develop hula hoops of trust. They are metaphysical and metaphorical. Stay till the end to find out how. Welcome to the news. So today what we want to get at is how to conceivably try to connect with people and get them to jump through a couple of hoops so that you have the ability to try to figure out your own dynamic for aligning with people in a business sense, in the business world, in the business realm. You want to sometimes be able to have a little bit of a criteria to be able to functionally connect a little bit better with people. So first of all, it has to do with aligning with yourself, who you are as a person, where you're coming from, what you want out of life, and getting a fundamental criteria from that to be able to develop and flesh itself out so that ultimately you have the ability to connect more directly with people in a different sense. So that you have some hula hoops for them to be able to jump through ultimately, and just like a little bit test them so that you have that connection with your soul, with yourself. Once you first identify yourself and your own beliefs and your own processes and your own ability to have a better understanding of where you're going and what you're trying to do and your whole process and your overall concepts of how you operate, then fundamentally you're able to design different hoops for people to be able to jump through, to be able to land in a place of trust, so that in essence, even if you want to work with someone, even if you want to hire someone, even if you want to collaborate with someone, by hiring them, fundamentally that you have the ability to connect with them by developing a set of hoops, a set of metaphysical, metaphorical hoops, hula hoops, in essence, for them to jump through like little golden rings, and every single time that they jump through one of them, which are just basically sets of communication, conceptual connections that connect each layer from one layer to the next of how to try to get them to advance, so that ultimately they get far enough down the line, so that ultimately they've proven themselves in terms of trust, but it's simple enough and it's hard enough at the same time, so that it connects to aligning with certain elements of yourself to be able to have them coincide and be fundamentally aligned with yourself, to be able to have a business partnership present itself. And at the same time, you need to listen to the meticulous aspects of nature to be able to try to get those first fundamental interests and first fundamental contracts, so they just first initially stoke your ear that you want to conceptually talk to them. And then at the same time, you're able to develop these metaphorical, metaphysical hula hoops by, in essence, trying to align and map out yourself and things that matter most to you in terms of like punctuality and how they answer certain questions and vibrations and things like this. Not like an interview in a certain formal format aspect, but more like a metaphysical one where you're trying to dig deeper and you're trying to get them to just like jump through the hoops just by making it fun, after all, by making a little obstacle course. And if they're fun enough, if they want to have fun enough with you, then in essence that's what it comes down to, is playing games and being able to align with the games and the gamification element, so that after all they get a sense of who you are and you're able to have fun with people that you're able to work with, in essence, because you're just able to try them out and trial out the process, and you get the concept of being able to play with people that you work with by getting a fundamental understanding of what they're able to do for you and you to them, and so that where you meet in the middle, you're able to have fun with each other. That's the purpose of the hula hoops, of the metaphorical, metaphysical hula hoops, because in essence you're designing questions, and if they are able to be punctual at the same time, they functionally need to be punctual and reliable to be able to connect with you and work with you. And so once they have done that, then the ability to be able to ask if they want to connect with you in a certain respect is presented, in essence. But hopefully you can have like a commission process where you're able to collaborate with them on the back end. But ultimately, it's a way to develop trust in a foundational sense. And just by going through those hula hoops, it's like a foundational way to develop a foundation at the same time. And so it's just kind of like, once they complete the course, you want to make it not too easy, not too hard, but it has to align with you, and it has to do with punctuality, so that they can be continually reliable on a consistent basis going forward. And then after this, then you've got a new foundation for collaboration, in essence, because the collaboration has to have a certain amount of things in place. And even though there's payments going back and forth, where you're paying them and they're paying you in certain respects, that's where the interesting sussing out of the equation sort of happens, is in the forefront, is in those equations, of in those interactions in the beginning. It comes down to the first word that's shared with each other, in essence, starts the actual transactional aspect of the hula hoops, where in essence you have started the conversation. So you're just, because you've been intrigued by something, trying to get to see if they'll get to the end of the line, and if they get to the end of the line, then you can present them with the ultimate opportunity, which is the reason that you kind of came there to begin with. But if you're not having fun throughout the course and getting them to jump through the hula hoops with you, which is basically like they're going through an obstacle course with you, so it's like they're doing an obstacle course with you just kind of for fun. And if they're doing that for fun, and they know that there's a business string along with it, and they're just going with the flow and having fun with it, then you can have fun with each other, and then there's a reason to actually do business. Because if you can't ultimately do that, then in essence it kind of makes it more difficult to have an interest to go beyond that, if you can't just like connect and be functionally aligned to a certain extent. And then collaboration is what's organic. You've already written the story. You've already developed a framework. You've already developed the foundation. And that goes with first knowing yourself, knowing who you are, knowing everything about what you want, and where you're going, in essence, to be able to then write the story for them, the obstacle course, more or less, for them to be able to jump through like a scavenger hunt of little verbal verbiage of basically playing with words by guiding and just having the hula hoops, the metaphysical hula hoops, be like little things that only you're looking for as indicators. And if they're able to fulfill those, then they can fulfill the essence of trust based on your eyes, based on your criteria, based on your outlook, based on your outline of what you want to see in terms of a friend, a partner, a partnership, a dynamic, a speed, a density of communication, a process, a thickness of certain fundamental attributes that sort of come through and squeak through in terms of how they gleam certain aspects of light and functional, aspects of value to yourself, so that ultimately you're able to try to align. So if you get to the end of that relationship, then you can offer them a collaboration where in essence it's really that is what causes the ultimate work and the ultimate revenue goal and stream of flow anyways, after all. Because in essence what you've got is like you've got riches and you've got wealth, and wealth comes from the foundation of the streams for the water to be able to travel through, and the riches are just actually the water itself, basically. So you want to have wealth with somebody, you want to be able to build the streams, you want to be able to build new etches, dig new dams, build new streams and water flow for the essences of different riches to be able to flow through. It's not about trying to get them and use them to dig out your ditch necessarily. It's like you're going through the work to etch out and dig out different ditches together. So you're spending time with that person and you want to have fun digging ditches with that person, in essence, because you're in the trenches with them to just functionally make new energy flow happen fundamentally. And that's the purpose of the conceptual partnership, and that's what makes an organic collaboration within the essence of conceptualizing how to connect and sort of go forward with any given conceptual partnership, service, vendor, process, alignment of any given type of working with anybody else outside of yourself in terms of going forward and stepping forward for yourself. And another element of that is trying to overcome yourself. First, becoming yourself by overcoming yourself, to then move to another person. You have to overcome yourself and try to step out into the marketplace, want to step out into the marketplace, become a new aspect of the marketplace, become an extension of the marketplace by first trying to overcome yourself, overcome your emotions to try to actually get into the marketplace, want to have that charisma, want to take that extra step, and then having other people then there help you, and you want to be able to have them help you and also be able to trust them to be able to reach out for their hand if you need a hand to reach out for, if you're in the same position where you're illustrating equity to them down the line, where their position and purpose and necessity and presence is a necessity along the process and along the fashion and along the flow of forward motion, so that they know their value, so that ultimately they're there and they want to be there, and you're both just in like a normal friendship are able to go hand in hand, and they want to be hand in hand with you, and you want to be hand in hand with them. So you've developed that obstacle course to be able to have fun right in the beginning, but ultimately you don't want to make it too easy and you don't want to make it too hard. So you get through and you can see that you can see light coming through their eyes at the end, in essence, and that's what you're looking for, is the light. But they don't know that you're looking for the light, so they don't necessarily have any choice but to just be genuine. And after all, because there's no choice when they have no idea what your motives are at the end of the day, in essence, and you're putting through the ringer, so to speak, or literally or figuratively in a metaphysical, metaphorical sense. And if they get through, after all, then they've aligned with your senses, your goals, your sense of a person and a personality, after all, and hopefully you can go forward in time and continue to make success and continue to make money by developing that fundamental alignment obstacle course, which they have no idea they're playing. So hopefully, if they are trickery, if they are scam material or things like this, if they are trying to be a trickster in a certain respect, that would shine through and they would fail the exam. They would fail the exam and they would falter, and then therefore you move on to the next element of life, where you're fundamentally reaching out for the feelers in society and in life and in nature and in the grounds and the business roots of life, to find that gold, that glimmer of light, those glimmers of light, to be able to try to withdraw from different people, to be able to continue to stretch light into the future of any conceptual business dynamic, so that collaborations are healthy, exceptional, back and forth, transactional, fundamentally useful and interesting, conceptual and fetching and stretching dynamics between the two of you and anybody else that you could conceptually work with necessarily. So after all, let's move on down to the next focus, which is, in essence, we are trying to, in our next location, try to start to focus on interviews. And that's part of the ways in which I'm talking about overcoming myself as well. At the same time as trying to do interviews, and at the same time, like, start in an online digital sense, trying to make jewelry, print-on-demand jewelry for different, like, influencers around the world. In essence, that's our digital, like, strategy. In essence, is to connect with influencers around the world and try to make jewelry for them, print-on-demand jewelry, or different accessories where we can make them print on demand. And part of going to China is to be able to try to manufacture some artifacts like this, so we can have quick products and quick print-on-demand products and pipeline them into the essence of getting them anywhere in the world as possible, if necessary, to be able to connect with certain influencers so that we can get them products to be able to put onto their channels, and then we can print on demand that, and then we can scale that. We can scale the conceptual potential of that print-on-demand product, so we can try to go from small to scale, from one sale up to scale, in essence. And we want to try to leverage that, like the essence of LVMH, how they have multiple different brands, but we want to be LVMH times Supreme times Palace, or basically those types of partnerships, types of things with influencers, basically. So all the influencers have platforms to stand on, and they have audiences, and we're trying to push them different products, interesting products, that if they feel that they align with those products, or we can develop products with them, that in essence they can push them to their audiences, more or less. And at the same time, if we get to HK and are able to try to somehow, or get to overseas, or wherever we're going next necessarily, if we're able to do interviews like the School of Hard Knocks style of interviews, in essence. And there's another one that I saw in England today that corresponded to just doing interviews that we're going to try to align with fundamentally in the HK, if possible, to be able to start to do interviews that are valuable. We want to withdraw value, significant value. It was called Venture Bed, or Venture Folks. I forgot the last second part of it, but the first name was Venture, and it was an interesting, fetching interview. Those ones take place in London, typically speaking, it appears, and those interviews are fetching because the depth of the focus of knowledge was inspiring to be able to try to get into the depth of those interviews, whereas we want to open the interviews with people that still would take some internal transformation, to try to do interviews with people in HK with a soccer ball, in essence, to where we're trying to open the conversation, open the concept, similar to like I was talking about with interviewing people. We're trying to develop an essence and a layer of trust that's fundamentally focused on having a functional interest in playing a common interest game of soccer, in essence, by just starting our conversations with different interview people in the world, in HK, going forward, to try to bring more content, more media content going forward, so that we have the ability to connect with people and try to bring value from a business sense, and also talk about philanthropy, fundamentally talk about philanthropy, and also music and business music at the same time, like making weird music, like the music you hear in the background. In essence, it's kind of something that we want to try to do during interviews conceivably, but at the same time talk about philanthropy and business processes, and these tidbits of business nuggets, in essence, which I have been calling spiritual finance all along my little business journey, as we've been making these weird little podcasts on a consistent basis. And so hopefully these can get a little bit more, just have more relevance and some more connection to other elements of furthering our little journey, if you will, and like make some better music and try to improve our media process, because ultimately, if we can extend our hand system on their hands, then hopefully some of those root energies can extend from our little blood vessels and into the metaphysical realm of connection through static electricity, from our body's electricity to each other, so that we can start to develop the global philanthropy energy grid. The global philanthropy energy grid, the focus on philanthropy energy generating focuses and mindsets, and developing of following through with actions in the manifestation spirit, in the spirit of spiritual finance, and the global philanthropy energy grid, and philanthropy energy generation, to lead to the global philanthropy energy grid. That's all for now. Thanks again. Dig Tech, bye, peace, bye. Dig Tech, bye, peace, bye. Dig Tech, change for games. Dig Tech, change for game studios. Thanks again. Bye, peace, bye.